He would be up before anyone else in the household. After saying his prayers in the breaking light of the day, he would go on a long walk to visit his coconut grove. We lived in Rameshwaram, a small temple town on an island in Tamil Nadu. This being on the east coast of India, dawn would break early, and our day's schedule followed the rhythm of the rising and setting of the sun and the sea waves. The sound of the sea was a constant presence in our lives. Storms and cyclones blew by with regularity during the tumultuous monsoon months. We lived in our ancestral home, a fairly large house made of limestone and brick, built sometime in the 19th century. It was never luxurious, but was filled with love. My father had a boat building business. Additionally, we also owned a small coconut grove some 4 miles away from our house. That was where my father would be headed for in the early morning hours. His walking circuit was well established, and he rarely deviated from it. First, he would step out into Mosque Street, where our house was located. It was a small, predominantly Muslim locality, not too far from the Shiv temple that has made our town famous for centuries. He would then walk through the narrow lanes of the town, onto the more open roads leading to the coconut groves, and finally wind his way through the groves to his patch of land. Today, I try to imagine him walking on those quiet roads, long before the day made its many demands on him. Ours was a large family, and I'm sure there were many pressures on him to see to our needs. But at that hour, I think of him listening intently to the sea, to the ever-present ravens and other birds that swooped and flew all around, woken up by the rising sun, like him. Perhaps he said his prayers to himself as he walked, or thought of his family with a calm, uncluttered, early morning mind. I never did ask him what went through his mind on this long daily walk. For when does a young boy really have the time to reflect in this way about his father? But I was always sure that the morning walk added something to his personality, an element of calm that was apparent even to strangers. My father was not a person with much formal education. Neither did he ever acquire much wealth in his long lifetime. Yet, he was one of the wisest, truly generous men I have had the fortune of knowing. Our mosque was the focal point of the locality, and my father was the man everyone turned to in their hour of need. They believed that he was truly connected to God. I remember going to the mosque to say my prayers with him. He made sure we never missed any of our prayers, and neither did it enter our minds to shirk this duty. After saying our namaz, when we would step out onto the road, groups of people would inevitably be there, waiting to talk to him and share their worries with him. What did these men and women see in him? He was not a preacher, nor a teacher. He was just a man who lived by his convictions and the tenets of his religion. What did he give them? I now think that it was his mere presence that calmed them and gave them hope. He said prayers for them, and many people would offer him bowls of water. He would dip his fingertips in them and say a prayer, after which the water would be taken away to be given to the sick. Later, many of these people would come to the house and thank him for having cured their near and dear ones. Why did he do this? And where did he get the peacefulness and generosity of heart to talk to people, comfort them, and pray for them in the midst of the busyness of his own life? He was a humble boat owner. Life was certainly not easy for him. What with finding the best ways to make ends meet in a tiny temple town cut off from the mainland. Yet, never once did I see my father turn away anyone who wanted to unburden himself by talking to him. Without doubt, he was a deeply spiritual man with some kind of connection with God.